And I would like to call to order this meeting of the Monroe County Stormwater Management Board, and it's Wednesday, January 12th, 2022. And the first order of business is appointment of the Solid Waste Management District officers for 2022. And I would like to nominate Commissioner Penny Givens to be president. Commissioner Givens, is that okay with you?
Yes, except that this is the stormwater management, not solid waste management.
Oh gosh, I do that all the time.
I do too. I do too.
Oh, dear. All right, let's start all over again. Let me call to order this meeting of the Monroe County Stormwater Management Board. It's Wednesday, January 12th, 2022. And now we can move on to appointment of officers, and I nominate Commissioner Penny Givens.
I will second. Go ahead, Trevor. Sorry.
I'll second your nomination.
Thank you.
Ms. Sutonia, would you please call the roll?
Enright Randolph,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
Githens.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. And is there a nomination for vice president, whatever we call it?
I'll just say I'm happy to serve in any regard that my colleagues would feel gracious enough to nominate me in, but I don't have a nomination to make.
Commissioner Givens?
Well, I'm not going to nominate Commissioner Thomas. That would not be fair to her since she's not present. And I feel like you know how to run these meetings so that if I'm not present, would you be willing to serve as the vice chair?
That's fine with me. Sure.
Okay, then I nominate Lee Jones as the vice chair of the Stormwater Management Board.
And it'd be my pleasure to second that nomination.
Thank you. Ms. Sutonia, if you'd like to call the roll on that.
Sure. Jones,
Yes.
Githens,
Yes.
Enright Randolph.
Yes.
All right, motion carries, and it's all yours, Commissioner Givens.
Okay, well, at this point in time then, we're calling for public input from any items that are not currently on the agenda. I don't see, I guess we do have a couple of people who are here. But I don't see anyone.
Yep, everyone here has agenda items to discuss.
Okay, and I didn't see any hands raised for this either. So is there anyone who will go on to the next item then? Is there anyone who would move to approve the minutes for November 10th, 2021?
Move approval of the minutes for November 10th, 2021.
Is there? Thank you, Mr. Enright Randolph. Thanks, Tron. We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion or amendments to the minutes?
No.
Me either. So Ms. Sutonia, would you please call the roll?
Sure. Githens,
Yes.
Enright Randolph,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
And let's move on to the stormwater expenditure reports for November and December of 2021. Ms. Sutonia.
So for November and December expenditure reports, we didn't have a December meeting, so I'll be reviewing basically just the whole end of the year with you. Many things came in at the end of the year. So some of these look pretty large compared to normal. Fleet maintenance and fuel both came in for 2 months in a row for September and October. We didn't see the September numbers at the October meeting, so you're seeing all of that on the November report. We had some pretty big repairs to make to the grade all and some others. So that cost was fairly high. We had to pull from some other budget lines to cover all the maintenance requirements from last year. We had some pretty big projects requiring backfill, and for November, December, you'll see some of that was encumbered because of a large project we did on South Shore in December. I'll talk about that in December. But otherwise, they did quite a bit of ditching and addressing some other complaints through that month. So you'll see we were back to using flaggers on contract. So you'll start seeing that number up again. We didn't use flaggers in the beginning of the year. Disposal fees, that's should be the last of it for the street sweepings, November, December. We're pretty much done for the year at this point. The guys are actually cleaning out the sand filter at the garage today to clean up from basically the whole year of street sweeping. These plan review fees, these are for the contract with Terry Coleman. He's provided some extremely beneficial services for us this year, reviewing some of the larger plans for us that require drainage reports. And there's just a few there that have been closed out and completed. We still haven't hired a truck driver as far as I know. So if anyone is looking for a truck driver position, I think the highway department could use a few. So see some job posting and advertisements there. Again, the fuel for September and October is there, but everything's been pretty consistent throughout the year. And some last things to wrap up November, and then December. December is where we put in a big order for pipes so that we could stock up on a few things using the 2021 contract amounts because the numbers were going up for 2022. So stormwater and bridge crew made sure to stock up on some pipes that we use very frequently. I worked with Jason to put that order in. Signs, we also purchased a bunch of signs at the end of the year that we hadn't purchased all year. So that was a line that we hadn't really seen any movement from until Jason put that order in. And then, let's see. We have the professional fees for the contractors workshop. We took that out of the contract we have with Christopher Burke Engineering. We had Angela Force from Christopher Burke present at our contractors workshop, and she blew me away as always. She is a wonderful speaker. She gave a very good presentation on the new construction stormwater general permit. And we had almost all of our local engineers, someone represented from each firm there, as well as some of our large developers were there. So it was wonderful for them to see her take on it. She works with a lot of the larger builders in Indiana and Kentucky. So I brought her in because her viewpoint is very valuable, and it's great for them to hear it from someone with her level of experience. So City of Bloomington is splitting the cost of that with us. So I will see some of that returned when I receive the payment from the city. And I do thank the city for agreeing to partner with us on that and cover the cost of her presentation. And the lunch as well. City's covering half of that with us. And then the fuel. And then of course the vac truck purchase. So that's no small amount. And thank you again to the board, commissioners, the council, and everyone who had a part in that. The stormwater program appreciates it. The company, Jack Doheny, they came down to give us a training on it when it was delivered, and I was able to sit through a good part of that. The guys went out and have been using it ever since we've gotten it. We had some good weather, thankfully, when it was delivered. So we've been able to tackle some projects that have been long overdue. So the stormwater crew is very happy. We're all really happy with that purchase. So thank you again. All right. Like I said, you will be seeing some funds encumbered under the backfill line. We had a large project completed on South Shore Drive. That's the Lake Lemon Causeway. So we did about 580 linear feet of road shoulder stabilization. We got it in when Lake Lemon Conservancy District was drawing down the lake for some other maintenance that they were planning to do. So it was a perfect time for our crew to go in and do that work without touching any water at all, because the lake was, several feet below where it should be. So that was ideal. I worked on the permitting for that in November, December to make sure everything was in compliance. So you'll see that total cost was about $23,000 in materials. So, and the highway is paying for part of it. Any questions on the expenditures for November, December?
I had one question. Well, first of all, thank you for being so proactive on the work around Lake Lemon. But where do we stand with hiring the MS4 assistant?
Yes, so we have hired the MS4 assistant. Let's see, meeting, but I will introduce you to him. He just started a few weeks ago, right before the holidays. I had a few days with him before I left for my vacation. His name is Adam Rickert. He's coming to us from the Marion County Health Department, where he was there for upwards of 25 years doing their illicit discharge program. So he's familiar with doing outfall inspections, managing illicit discharges and enforcement, as well as some industrial stormwater inspections and other things. So I'm grateful for his experience and what he's going to bring to Monroe County. And I will make sure to introduce him at the next meeting.
Thank you. Either Tron or Lee, do you have any questions or comments?
Not at this time.
No.
Okay, then
Thank you.
we don't have any old business, so let's move on to new business. The 2022 Memorandum of Understanding with the Monroe County Solid Waste District. No.
Soil and Water Conservation.
Soil and Water Conservation District. We have too many SWs here. Thank you. For the Stormwater Grants Program. Sorry, I'm looking at the agenda, not what's right in front of my face here. Okay. So is Schilling joining us on this?
Yeah. I just wanted to give a brief discussion before I hand this over. So this MOU has been largely unchanged from the previous year's MOUs. Some of the changes I did bring to you back in like July of last year. So this shouldn't look new to you. I did change a few things to kind of update it a little bit and fill out some of the language. So thank you, Martha, for providing some of these edits to us to provide more detailed information on this. So again, you did see this last July. And this is for the MOU to the SWCD, where the Stormwater Board will provide $35,000 annually for their Stormwater Grants Program. I will allow Martha to speak on some updates that they have for their program and what they have going on.
Yeah, hi everybody. So some of the things that we have going currently, we're excited that these grants were still pursued and being able to implement during the last couple of years during the pandemic and all, but we are excited about that. We also started in 2020, the spring of 2020, doing a critical area seeding program. So we limit producers to 3 acres and they can get seed to cover areas that have been heavily used during the winter months for particularly for livestock, but there are some other instances where these can play too, and it stabilizes the area so that the eroding of the soil or soil loss is not as significant. I did send a report of our 2021 where we had put projects on the ground and how much we had used to do that with. We are hiring a conservation resource technician with a grant that we got from the state of Indiana. That'll be for 3 years for salary, and we hope to work with the county to maybe get that to be a permanent position at the end of the 3 years if we can show the need. I don't think that'll be a problem. A big chunk of what they'll do is help us execute these, get the word out more, and help private landowners who have these issues that are affecting our stormwater. So yeah, that's kind of where we're at.
Oh, you're fine.
Thank you, Martha. And I did send the 2021 grants financial report and map to the board just this afternoon before the meeting. So if you haven't had a chance to look at it, I do apologize for sending that late. Feel free to contact myself and or Martha with questions.
Thank you. Are there any questions from the board?
I just have I guess a question, and I'm sure it's addressed, but I guess if you could educate me a bit on it. With the request for using a portion of this fund for matching purpose for the full-time position that you just brought up, is that built into this MOU? I guess I'm trying to like skim through it and see where that is. And I just want to make sure that it's part of it, so she's able to use that money as intended.
Mhm. So Martha,
I was going to say, do you want me to address that?
sure, yeah.
Okay. When this will actually come into play is as we get into the second half of the grant. So we can address it in the MOU if you want to, but it doesn't have to be. We have the state's blessing on everything. So the way this grant works is it's a 50-50. They'll give us 50% of that money up front. We'll expenditure through it. And then at the end, they'll reimburse us in the rears. But the reality is what they're looking at is our time invested with this person against going out to do these projects. So we'll actually track this money through the actual projects. And so that's how they'll see it as matched. So this will be more like soft monies for that perspective. So it's not really matching per se, it's really supporting. And then we'll show this as in-kind service. Does that make sense?
Yeah, perfect. My main concern is that it was structured where you were able to use that as you were intending. And I just wanted
Thank you.
that had that flexibility.
Yeah, and we do appreciate the support immensely.
And then I just have one general comment. I really like the reporting and kind of using that Google Maps and kind of showing us where some of this is taking place, and just kind of the short narratives and a couple pictures. That's awesome. I'd be really curious, and this is just kind of to plant a seed, is the form as you go through the packet and you start seeing how you're structuring that form. That form could maybe have some of that GIS integrated into it, like a survey 1, 2, 3. And so you might be, able to kind of achieve two goals at one point of contact. So as they're filling out the form, they might be able to provide a lot of that back end work that you do probably after everything's said and done. So just wanted to plant that seed, and it's really, really easy. And now that you kind of have a nice structure, it just makes everything easier and easier, and it'll reduce your time and effort too. So I just wanted to make that comment, and
I appreciate that.
tell you how nice it is to see this come along from the last 4 years or so. So it's great. And I was really excited to see that people are still participating. I was looking at a couple of them, and I saw one that was dealing with some erosion control, and that's pretty awesome. And
we can hopefully, once we get this new person in place, this will take some of this pressure off me, because I still have to do all the administrative duties for the district. And it's my understanding that the State Department of Ag is going to have a tool for us to be able to actually calculate how much soil loss we've actually been able to save. So in theory, when this person gets hired, we'll actually have them go back. I've got all the records back to when we first started, so I want to see if we can calculate that. But I would love to talk with you more about this integration, because I'd love to be able to do that. I just haven't had time to research how. So we'll get together after this, outside this meeting.
Yeah, I mean, just the incremental growth of it is night and day, and I'm so pleased and really happy to be able to get behind this 100%. So thank you so much,
Awesome.
Martha. I really
Thank you.
appreciate
Thank
time
you.
and effort.
That means a lot. It really does. I appreciate that.
I don't have the length of experience with this that the others here do, but yes, I think that this is really, really nice, and the kinds of things that are happening, the way this will make it, can also have a big impact on Lake Monroe and the water supply. I did have one question for you on the application form for number 15 on the application form. You said that it says, I have emailed 3 photos of the current project. And so if that person doesn't have email, how are they supposed to get the pictures to you? Because earlier in the questionnaire, you asked if they have email and they can mark no.
Yeah, I will work with anybody in any way possible. I'll meet them on the street corner, or they can text them to me and I'll print them. They can drop them off here at the office. I will do whatever I can to get those pictures in here. We've had a few people who didn't actually complete the process and didn't send us pictures at all. So they, I sent them an email and they understood. And so they don't get even considered because they don't finish through with the application. But I've even given my personal cell phone out to people to text us pictures of projects that we're trying to get done. I do that probably more than I really should, but yeah, I'll figure out a way.
Yeah, I just think it would be nice if
Clarify that.
If you indicated, if you're unable to email, there's another place you can mail something to, or other contacts. That's all. It was only for people that indicated earlier in the questionnaire that they didn't have email. That's all.
I have not updated it for 2022 yet, so I made myself a note and I will get that on there. If anybody, by the way, out there does know how to attach photos to a Google form, I've had my IU students trying to figure it out and we've not been able to do that yet, so.
You might really like what I could show you. Well, not just me. I think Jared would make himself available, but it's really simple. And like it says upload file, which could be a photo, and it's just pressing a button. And then if you took the photo on your phone, you can just bring it up from your camera roll, or you can take a photo right there and then live. So very nice to add attachments. So if you're having issues with that, let's just reach out. And like I said, this is coming. This is so nice. I love it.
Yeah, awesome. I got to get through January because all of my financials are due to the State Board of Accounts, but 1st of February, you're on my list to get with, so.
That's fabulous. That's great. So I think we need a motion for this MOU.
Do we need to read it? Look, I have the agenda right here. I would like to move approval of the stormwater. I'd like to move approval of the 2022 MOU with Monroe County SWCD for the Stormwater Grants Program.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion? Is there any member of the public who wants to say something about this?
I'm not seeing any hands.
Not either, thank you. So Ms. Latonia, would you please call the roll?
Jones,
Yes.
Enright Randolph,
Yes.
Githens,
Yes,
Thank you all so much.
thank you.
thank you, Martha.
Anything we can do or anything you see us needing to be involved in, please let us know.
Okay, let's move on to item number 8, staff reports. First up is Lisa Reed. Is she with us here today?
Can you hear me?
Oh, you're calling in. Okay. Hi.
Yeah, sorry, I've been dealing with a cell phone for the last 3 hours, so I was late onto the meeting. I don't have anything to report. Kelsey might, I'm not sure what she's going to report. I don't want to overlap her, so I will just say that I don't have anything at this point.
Thank you. Ms. Laconia?
Thank you. And yeah, thanks, Lisa. I didn't have anything major to update the group besides hiring Adam in the MS4 assistant position. I'm also posting the admin assistant position, hopefully very soon. I have the posting drafted. Just need to make sure we check the final few boxes, but that will be going out very soon. So hope to have that position higher by beginning to mid-February. And as far as some other, I guess, updates for you, I would like to be able to provide the board with more detail on what our crew is doing. We have Cartograph as a wonderful resource that I know I'm personally not using to its full capacity. So I would like to be able to present maybe like a quarterly report to you all on the complaints that the crew has completed, any major projects that they've worked on. I don't have that prepared today, but I'm hoping maybe next month I can give you a little bit more information on that. So with that, I would also like Erica and Adam to have a chance to give maybe another quarterly type report on projects that they're working on. The main, I guess, reasoning behind that is, I know last year around spring when Connie had finished the MS4 annual report, it was a very long presentation because there was so much information in that report. So I'd like to break it up into smaller chunks throughout the year so that we can update you, every few months on what we're doing and not have you go through a full hour-long presentation once per year and get bombarded with all of the information at once. So, so I've asked Erica to give an update. She started with us in June of last year, and I've put her on sort of tackling our post-construction program. It's MCM5 in our MS4 permit. It's a part of our permit that has never gotten much attention, but we will need to start addressing this. So, so this is, I think she's wanting to give you a short presentation on, let me stop sharing my screen. So she can. So give a short presentation just on an update, what she's been working on this year. And that, so Erica, I'm gonna pass the torch to you.
Okay, so can you all see that?
Yes.
Okay, great. So as Kelsey said, I'm mostly focusing on active construction and then also making sure that post-construction measures are being installed correctly and finishing out correctly so that, when the developer leaves, when construction is finished, we have a fully functional detention pond or retention pond, whatever the case may be, swales, that kind of a thing. So as part of this, I have through our GIS program, I have a layer of our active construction sites. These are all permitted with state construction stormwater permits. When we roll out our new ordinance updates and have our own county stormwater permits, I'll have a layer for that as well, just so that we can track it and see where it all is. So we currently have 56 active sites and then 6 sites that are permitted, but they're not active yet for whatever reason. Construction is not happening currently. So I anticipate this number will stay relatively static. It'll probably fluctuate a little bit here and there, but it should remain around about this many projects. Last year in 2021, there were approximately 130 official inspections where an inspection report was written. and sent to the property owner. There were also a ton of just kind of drive-by inspections, you know, from the car seat, just to see that things were in place, that there wasn't any major issues going out into nearby roads and whatnot. So part of my goal is to inspect all of our active sites on a quarterly basis. The way the state has updated our MS4 general permit is that we have to inspect all sites on a quarterly basis, and we have to have them in some kind of rank priority list. So I'm in the process of working on how we're going to prioritize that as well. Any questions on the permitted construction sites, active sites?
I'd be really curious how you create a ranking list, I guess. Just generally curious, like something that immediately comes to mind is our critical drainage ways, our eco overlay, like if they're within, you know, a critical drainage way, or like our environmental overlay, maybe that, you know, trigger priority, or if they're within like a certain distance to our flow lines, or unclassified or classified, you know. Just I'm
exactly.
really curious how you would put that together. Sorry.
Nope, that's exactly right. Kind of prioritizing them based on a little bit based on size. Some of these projects are much larger than other projects. Some of them just meet that 1 acre threshold to be permitted. And some of them are, you know, much larger than a single acre. So there's prioritizing them based on size, and then also where they're located within critical drainage areas, or you know, proximity to other projects. If we've got this clump of several large projects all within the same watershed, even if it's not a critical drainage area, we're going to prioritize making sure that all of those sites are meeting their sediment and erosion control needs.
And then there's other data sets out there, like karst topology, where they show kind of the density of the karst, not necessarily like an inventory of a point, but like just kind of more broad, like soil types, if you will, almost of karst density. Yeah, that's a layer that's provided by the state. I think if you use all of that available information, you could really create a good matrix or metrics. I'm not sure which one would be appropriate there to prioritize these for inspections. Just my thoughts. I'm just very, very generally curious. So
yeah,
reach out if you want any follow up, or if I could provide any resources to you.
Okay, yeah, I appreciate that. Okay, so my next major task is the post-construction element, our permanent features. So we call these BMPs, our best management practices, and we are creating an inventory of all of these elements within the county. So a little bit of background, this was started under Dana Wilkinson's tenure as the MS4 assistant. She was obviously quite busy with all the other areas of the program. So it didn't get the full attention that it needed. It was restarted in 2020 and 2021 with one of the SPIA fellows, Colt Vaughn. So he laid a lot of the great groundwork for when I came on board. I was able to kind of hit the ground running and work with Jared to develop the GIS survey app, which we finalized and launched in October. So we've had a little bit of a slow go getting things rolling, just as we really hone how we're evaluating and doing our inventory. But we've got our current SPIA fellows trained on how to do it, so we feel comfortable being able to send them out during their shifts together, or with myself or with Adam or with Kelsey to do some inventorying. And now I'm feeling extra comfortable and able to go out and add to this inventory myself as well. So we do estimate that there's 450 or more retention or detention ponds within the county. As I said, we had a little bit of a slow progress since we've launched it, but we do have 10 retention ponds in our inventory. And so retention ponds are ponds that hold water. And then we have 21 detention ponds, which temporarily hold water and should drain 24 to 48 hours after a rain event. So we would like to have our inventory, quote unquote, completed in 2022, by the end of 2022. So to help meet that goal, I'm hoping to have 150 within our inventory by the end of March. So any questions on the BMP inventory?
I do.
Yeah.
Erica, you're inventorying them. How much are you evaluating the quality of them, and are there things that need to be done to upgrade some of them? Talk about some of that process, if you will.
Sure. So our idea was to create an inventory so we know what we have out there, and so we're grading them on vegetation, whether there's invasive species or mature trees blocking inlets or outlets for the pond, if there's bank erosion. So there's all these different metrics of how stable and how functional the pond should be. And so then we give them an overall ranking of good, fair, and poor. So the good ones, we know that those are we don't really need to do very much maintenance to them, or we don't need to ask the HOAs or property owners to do maintenance on them. The fair are ones that are ranked as fair. We'll do some outreach and ask and let them know, hey, you've got some issues with this pond. You probably want to take care of that sooner rather than later. And then the ones that we rank as poor, that'll be much more targeted outreach, probably trying to schedule one-on-one visits with the HOA or property owner, so that we can walk the site with them and point out all those issues. So this is just an initial inventory until we can get, and so we can see what the need in the county is and kind of make our next steps from there.
Thank you.
I just have a general comment and maybe a request.
Sure.
I think it would be great if we could coordinate a meeting in the near future with my office and your office. Obviously, I know you're working closely with Jared. I know he's the GIS coordinator, and I've been so pleased with you wanting to integrate some of this. You know, that's kind of our method over there, is that, you know, we can give the tools available to get this type of, you know, inventory going, but we need the people to want to take on that task, you know. So thank you, Erica and Kelsey, for wanting to take on this task. But we're doing some more extensive review with our preliminary process with filings at the planning office. And we're also doing more extensive review with the actual recorded document as well. And these detention ponds and other things, I think, of interest shown or delineated on these surveys. And we're creating a geodatabase, which is basically an inventory, if you will, of these areas of interest. And some of them, I think, are going to be more of a stormwater area of interest. So I think if we could get together to show you what we're doing, that might give you some ideas to really enhance what your goals are, and maybe even provide some data already collected and just kind of shift it over for your intent and use. So I think sooner we could get together, better. We've already done a presentation on what I want to show you at the State's GIS Day last year, and it was really well received. So just wanted to put that out there, and also thank you for your efforts on really kind of, you know, bringing some of this information on the ground to life in these type of maps. So it's awesome. Great work.
Thank you. Yeah, we'll be in touch about getting together for that. Any other questions about our BMP inventory? hopefully next time I can update you guys on a little bit more and start to show some trends on what we're seeing out there. Okay, well, I'll stop sharing then.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So do any of the other board members have anything you want to raise? I think this is great that we're getting some of these mapping things done and we can share this, and I love visuals. So for me, this is great.
I would just say, Penny, that there's probably going to be more to come, and probably more exciting once we start looking at some of the tools that are already available, especially with the Cotograph that's fully ESRI integrated. So that means it works with a number of our platforms. And as we start getting them to talk better to each other, it's just going to really make life easier on all fronts. So I'm excited, but it takes a lot of work. So I really commend, the stormwater staff for taking on this. It's great. And the beginning is the hardest part. So.
Hey, Tron.
Yeah.
Yes, Lisa.
Sorry, I didn't know if you guys could hear me or not, but I want to give a big kudos to Kelsey and Erica, and then Adam coming on board. I think you can tell by the reporting that's happening within the stormwater division of everything, where we're headed, what they have taken on, let me say. And it's only, I think, going to get better. I mean, I know it's busy, but it's just practices that we have not taken on. And I think we couldn't have done this without the support of the board, increasing the fee and trying to get some of these issues and problems done throughout the county where stormwater's concerned. So just want to thank the board for your support and getting us to this point. I know we've got a long way to go, but I can sit back and see the improvement within this division of the department. So that's all I got.
Great. Well, if there's nothing else at all to discuss, I guess the meeting is adjourned and we will reconvene to each other on February 9th, 2022 at 3 o'clock. And for right now, it looks as though we'll still be in Zoom. So someday maybe we'll get to see each other, but only when it's healthy.
Have a great rest of your day, everyone.
You too.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.